Okay, so this is our last night of our trip. Tomorrow, this is day 39. Tomorrow will be 40 days. We're in Tupelo, Mississippi, and we should be home back to Georgia tomorrow. So we wanted to just have a little round table, talk about our trip, anything that pops into our mind. So you want to start?
Sure. I just wanted to say that I really appreciate these guys. A lot of people don't know I had some emotional issues and some physical issues to deal with while we've been on this trip. And I know I've been moody and demanding and a little bit of everything, and they've put up with me and helped me when I needed help. And I don't like to ask them for help, so it's kind of been an issue between me and Barry mostly. But they've helped me and we've made it. And I really appreciate y'all. Because I know y'all probably wouldn't have just gone on this trip, but I kind of pushed y'all to go. And I appreciate it.
I would not. Don may have. I would not.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I'm just thankful that you guys even invited me to go on it.
We're
it's
glad
an
you
honor
came, for sure.
to do that, and that Joanne allowed me to come. Not allowed, but
Thank you, Joanne.
Yeah, thank you, Joanne.
Agreed. She agreed.
But yeah, some of the things that, other things that we wanted to talk about, we've talked a lot about what we brought and our bikes and how they performed. I wanted to talk a little bit more about, some of the things that were on the bike and some of the things that we packed, and what worked out and what didn't. The heated grips, those worked out great for me because for the most part, I wore fingerless gloves. I think maybe twice I wore full gloves, and the heated grips were great for me. She had a problem with hers with the battery issue early on, shorted out her grip, so she didn't have the heated grips for the entire trip, but she did have heated gloves, so she didn't get cold. But some of the other things, the GoPro mount, the RAM mount works good for the GoPro. I had a bad phone mount. It was also a RAM mount, but I had a version that did not work very well for me. It worked out, but I had to rig it so that it would work. What else? I don't know. Tires, had a tire issue, had to buy tires twice for my bike because I was the kind of tires that I had on here were the ones that I really wanted, but they recommended they couldn't get those in, and they recommended a different version, and they just were not working for me, so ended up having to buy tires twice. But as far as everything else on the bike, they performed really well after we got the kinks worked out.
Well, my tires are the ones I left home with. Got about 11,000 miles on them right now. Trail Max Missions
From Dunlop.
And that's what Barry ended up going back to.
Exactly.
But I've still got a lot of tread if you just look at them. So, the helmets with the intercoms was not something that we ever wanted.
Because we didn't want to talk to each other.
Y'all know I don't stop at stop signs, so he can't tell me everything I've done wrong since the last one. But the helmets and the Cena things have worked out good for us.
Very good.
And the only problem we had was getting all three of us on there at the same time. It would just happen. every once in a
Yeah,
while, but
we
we
don't know
didn't know
why.
how it happened.
But we didn't spend a lot of time trying to figure it out.
Yeah, we didn't
But-
try. If we had, if we'd spent some time on it, we could have got us all talking. But I could talk to Denise, and Denise could talk to Don, so we could all three communicate the way we needed to. So that worked out.
And
Don ended up
also-
getting tires.
Also, you could listen to music and podcasts and whatever
Oh yeah,
on that headset.
I listened to Dale Earnhardt Jr. for most of the trip.
And-
The Dale Jr. download.
And the Garmin XT, Zumo XT, is really amazing.
Yeah.
Even I can follow that. It gives me a purple line for the lane that I need to be in after they program it and stick it on my bike.
Yeah, and you can have it set to beep if the speed limit changes, and on these back roads it changes,
Quite a bit.
quite a lot. And so if I'm leading, I'm not paying attention sometimes, and it'll beep, and then I look and I'm like, uh-oh, we better slow down in a small town. But that's
Yeah.
and the foot peg, highway pegs have been a lifesaver.
Those were great.
If I didn't have highway
Very
pegs,
good.
my knees would be in worse shape and my legs would be burnt because
You don't see those on a lot of adventure bikes, but
No, you don't.
adding those on.
these adventure bikes, they may tell you they don't have Harley heat, but they do. When you get into these high temperatures that we've been in, high 90s and
Mhm.
stuff, they can put off some heat.
Yeah.
Don's bike's perfect, of course.
Yeah.
It's
No,
been solid.
I've already talked about the bike and the tires and stuff.
Been
so I
very
think
good.
That's,
So, some of the other things that we talked about, by the time we're done, it will be, all of our bikes vary on mileage. It will be between 10 and 11,000 miles, probably somewhere around 10.5 or
Yeah.
10.6, 10,500 miles is what the total will be. A couple of firsts for us. I think all of us, Nebraska and Alaska, we had never been in those two states. You had never been in Montana before.
Wow.
Wyoming. Don had never
or
been in
that
Wyoming.
much of Canada.
Canada, I'd never been into another country before, so we crossed into Canada and spent probably 15 days there total, counting going north and coming back down. We rode on a ferry boat on motorcycles for the first
And
time.
they won't let you get off. You gotta sit there on it.
Across the Yukon River on a ferry boat. So
I think it's the first time
Yeah.
I took a trip where I maxed out my trip meter.
that's the thing. I had mentioned that mine rolled over before I realized it got to 10,000, but Don's stopped.
Yeah, 9,999
999
miles and 9
6
cents.
nines across there. So that was a pretty cool picture. What else? Some of the things that surprised us, I guess, was what we wanted to talk about. For me, I had no idea how far it was between towns, what they call towns in Alaska. They're all very, very small. For example, Tok has 1,200 people. And then the next town might be 300 miles away with almost nothing in between. I had no idea it was that far between towns. And Don talked about in our earlier interview both of them talked about not doing it solo, but one of the things that is highly recommended is somebody in that group should have a satellite communication device, because there's many areas that have no cell phone service, and if something happens, they may never find you.
Yeah.
So Don had, what was it called?
And I had the Zoleo. So you don't need a
Zoleo.
satellite phone, but you should have some sort of communicator, either an InReach or the Zoleo. So it has an emergency button on it that'll automatically dispatch emergency personnel if there's an accident or something. And it also has a text messaging. So if it's not an emergency but you're stuck, you can contact somebody maybe back home or whatever, and they can then contact somebody to get rid of it.
Highly recommended.
Yeah. We didn't really use it,
Didn't use it, but
but I wouldn't leave it at home.
No.
Also, the Zumo, the Garmin Zumo has a feature for incidents. And I dropped mine one day and it told me it was calling Nick to tell him I had had an incident.
Right.
So I had to cancel it, but that's a feature too. You just got to make sure you don't give somebody a heart attack.
And some of the pricing gets a little steep when you get north of the border. Everything turns into the metric system for one thing. You go to kilometers instead of miles, liters instead of gallons, and what else? I think when you do the math on the fuel, at times I think you pay up to between $8 and $9 a gallon is what it ends up being. You don't realize that.
Yeah, because you
on a
can't do the math
motorcycle.
if you're pumping liters into there. You don't really
Right.
how many
But
liters.
yeah,
that is.
everything is more expensive. The fuel,
Gas, hotels.
Hotels are double. Easily.
hotels are double.
And a lot of them don't have air conditioning.
True. Once you get north of, I think it was right around Watson, maybe Whitehorse, Watson Lake, that area. Anything north of there has no air conditioning. And they think they don't need it, but they do.
Well,
At least they did.
well, I
this
think that
time.
was another surprise is the weather.
It was
It
very
was
much
warmer
so.
than
Much
I
warmer.
thought it was going to be in most of the areas, and we really lucked out on the rain.
Yeah, we packed
Yeah.
clothes for warm weather, hot
Really?
weather, rainy weather, and a good bit of it stayed packed. And camping gear, I never even opened that case on that side because I
Which
had
we're
anything
and we're still
camping.
very happy about that. by
That's
the way.
right. Even though I didn't get to use my axe.
Didn't we both brought hatchets for some reason? I brought one because Don had one. I couldn't let him have one without me having one. We did use it for a hammer.
We did.
We did use it to hammer our sign at the sign
true.
forest.
That's true.
What else?
The road conditions, even Canada and Alaska, and some of the northern states have got some roads
They're rough.
that
Really rough. Yeah.
really rough.
Especially when you get into further up Whitehorse and
Yeah.
north into Alaska.
Just, I mean,
Yeah,
not
really.
even just the road construction, but just the roads that weren't being worked on.
Yeah.
They would get pretty rough.
Yeah, really happy that we chose to bring adventure bikes rather than Harleys. And we ran into a guy on a Harley that we had to let him borrow some wire to wire his muffler back up on his bike that had broken
His
loose.
new CVO.
Yeah, it was a high-end Harley that had broken muffler.
Broken wheel.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's anything else you want to talk about?
40 days is a long time to not, be in control of what's going on at your house. So as far as are the bills getting paid, you try to pay them online, you got to have somebody go through the mail for you and give you some amounts to pay. And I appreciate all the help we've gotten with this stuff. And your dog, you can't see her on the camera anymore because the camera went dead, and just different things that you don't even think about.
Yeah, there's been some
Yeah.
things that you don't think about.
I'm never in control at my house, even when I'm there, so it was no different.
Well, but I can't, say enough about, how, we've worked together and you know, it's a lot of time for 3 people to spend together, and you know, we've never even had a spat.
You know, me and Barry.
Well, yeah, I mean, we have normal spats, but I mean, it's been
I've yelled
great.
at Don a couple of times.
Yeah.
You did?
Yeah, on the
Yeah.
radio. Are you gonna pass them or not?
Even
Well,
when you're
see.
leading with Denise, you're never really leading.
That's true. That's the truth.
I think I apologized for yelling at him. I'm sorry.
Well, it's been quite an adventure.
Yeah.
It has been quite an adventure. I really still can't believe that I've done this. Never thought I would do, 10,000 miles on a motorcycle when I bought one, but and I don't know that I ever will again. But
We're
Never
already
say
talking about
never.
another one.
That's right. We're already talking about another trip, but I don't think there can be one longer than this one. But the way I thought about, the question I asked them early on is, would you do it again? And I didn't answer that question, but my thoughts on doing it again would be in a motorhome with a trailer.
With the motorcycle.
With the motorcycles in it, and then if you wanted to ride on the motorcycle some, you could ride, and then if you wanted to put your bike back in the trailer, you can put it in the trailer and get in the motorhome. So that would be my thoughts on doing it again.
Not mine.
Eric Baker,
Not mine.
not hers. Which is, her bike has 77,000 miles, and mine has half that. So she likes to ride more than anybody we know. So, what else? I think that's it. If anybody has any other questions, we may do one more summary. We have to do another video when we get home. But that's it for now. It's been, like I say, quite an adventure. Right on.
Right home.
Right on.